Welcome back, Men of Hibs. For you, we have Mr. Meadows on the show to talk about his water polo and also the Americans in the Olympics. Sir, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Are you excited after your win against Mr. Hegarty?
Yeah, kind of a bit unexpected. I'm for it. Does that mean I'm back next week?
Not next week, but you will be back. Don't you worry about that.
Right on. Can't wait.
All right, Sam, hit it.
Okay. For those who don't know, could you explain the sport of water polo to us and the rules and all that?
Yeah. Well, water polo basically played in the pool. Course length is about 30 meters long. Players at a time from each team. One goalie from each team. I suppose it's pretty similar to a lot of the other major sports codes that we follow. You know, basketball or soccer. You're going back and forth trying to score a goal. There's a bit of and wrestling that goes on underwater. So I guess maybe elements of rugby in there as well.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, I've heard that it is quite brutal. Have you had any been attacked by anyone, like viciously, any eye gouges?
Yeah. In my playing career, I never really sustained too bad of an injury. Broken nose and a few stitches here and there, but I've managed to get away with. I've seen some worse cases, but I've been lucky enough. Basically, there's about 4 positions on a team. There's an attacker, which is also the scorer from the outside. There's a center, which is kind of the main part of the offense, usually your biggest, strongest guy, who the focus of your offense is trying to get him the ball right in front of the goal to score. There's another guy on the defense, a center defender. His job would be mainly to mark that center. And then there's the goalie, obviously.
So,
you guys, I'd probably look at you maybe as a goalie. Typically, we look for a guy with long arms, able to get up to the corners to block the ball. Maybe also as a center defender, where you got to have long arms to reach around those big centers and try and prevent them from scoring.
Because I might have to join your team because Mr. Jagoose didn't want me on his petanque team. So.
Yeah, man.
And set plays are involved in the game.
I suppose it really depends on the level that we're looking at. You know, I think tactics, obviously, offensively, kind of the basics is to control the ball, get it down to score. A lot of the game now is officiated that there's what they call ejections or exclusions or kickouts as part of the game. So if you're able oftentimes to get the ball into your center, he has an opportunity to score. A lot of times they'll call an ejection, in which case your team has kind of like a man-up situation where you have an extra guy, 20 seconds, so you have a pretty good opportunity to score. So a lot of tactics offensively are centered around getting the guy in the middle of the ball, working for an ejection and trying to score on a man-up opportunity.
Oh, great. So, are there set plays? Like, do you have like confuse the opposition?
Yeah, you would. I think it maybe at the higher levels, the higher level you keep going. I think there's more set plays and worked into the game plan. I think you start to run plays specifically during basically whenever there's a stoppage of play. So at this level, maybe at the schoolboys level, you're running a set play maybe after a goal, when obviously off a timeout or anytime the ball goes out of bounds, there'd be an opportunity to run some sort of set play. A lot of the play is based on just creativity, though, and you never really want to restrict your players on what they can do and what the defense is giving them. So as much as there is set play, there's a lot of you got to work with.
So we're going to swim deep into your personal water polo life. Did you like that pun?
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Good transition.
So when did you start playing water polo, and who convinced you to start playing?
And I think it was just kind of the natural progression moving from I grew up as a competitive swimmer, and it was a good transition to try something new and kind of beat the monotony of swimming up and down the pool. So I actually just took on from a lot of the older guys at my swim club at the time. So I just went with them to a couple practices and ended up enjoying it. So stuck with it from there.
How much was it an advantage being a competitive swimmer beforehand? Were you like way better swimmer than everyone else and just out?
I think the sport to play the sport at a higher level, I think you need to have you got to be a relatively strong swimmer, and so that's one of the aspects. If you want to get in the sport, I guess one of the drawbacks is that you've got to be proficient in hanging on you and pulling you back. And if you're struggling just to maintain yourself swimming, it's going to be a struggle to get up out of the water and try and throw a ball. So I guess most of the guys who end up getting into the sport have some sort of background in swimming or pretty good swimmers.
And your teams?
I was an attacker, so I was one of the swam around kind of on the perimeter, one of the outside shooters. Yeah.
Well, what do you think was the best part of your game? Were you long-range shots or?
Not particularly. I suppose maybe as I got a little older, I was a bit undersized, and so I think one of the things I always tried to do is make sure that I was in great shape so that I can just be have a higher fitness level than them, and just try to play the game to the physicality of it. And so trying to be get yourself in a better position by doing the small things right, being in better shape, and trying to understand what's going to happen next was kind of what I tried to do. Is I didn't throw the ball particularly hard. I wasn't trying to beat them and be in better shape than them, and just trying to hone the fine parts of my game as opposed to trying to be stronger than anybody out there.
Yes, well thought out polo team in your heyday. Could you tell us more about this?
Well, yeah. Well, I suppose when I was in the junior ranks, when I was 16, I was basically 16 and under. In the States, I played for the youth team, and so that was I suppose the highest ranks I made it in terms of the national level, and I played for them just for that year when I was 16, and then had the opportunity to go on and play at a university in California. And then, that was about it.
Pretty big achievement. So how much time commitment was put into this to get as good as you are?
It was a big time commitment, I suppose. At the time, you're typically having 2 trainings a day, so you're training probably 6 to 7 times a week. Usually an early morning session before school, which would involve mainly swimming, and then an afternoon tactics session, which involve water polo. So you're looking at somewhere 3 or 4 hours a day at there to you start to get involved a bit more in weight training and whatnot, and then there's game film that's being reviewed and a whole other side of it. So it ends up actually taking up considerable amount of time. Yeah.
So yeah, it was
a big part. I think it was always something I enjoyed doing. So I'd never really thought of it as a job or as a I enjoyed going to practice. I enjoyed playing the games, and I saw it all as a the practices and whatnot as the accomplish in the game. So I actually always really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, we can understand without high level of playing sports. Do you still play water polo at a club level here in New Zealand?
I tried played in a few scrimmages and ultimately ended up hurting myself bad enough that I think I'm going to say I'm officially retired.
Oh, jeez. But are they very brutal, more brutal than in America, or were you just a bit out of practice?
I think it's a bit of old here in New Zealand. I don't know if that comes from just the culture of kind of that rugby culture where guys get in and just kind of beat on each other. But it was a more physical game. I managed to kind of stay away from that. I hurt myself. Just ended up hurting my back. I think just because I'm getting
water polo players. Like, is it a well-watched sport in the US and around the world?
Are there many professional players? No, not really. I think there's it's not really a spectator-friendly sport as a whole. So I think in the U.S. it's still very much so a minor sport, as it is probably in most other parts of the world. I suppose the biggest, it is a more mainstream popular sport. Places primarily in Europe, you got places like Hungary where it would be considered their national sport, and where they do have a national league, and they do have guys who can go and play professionally. And there's a handful of American guys who actually travel overseas and play in Europe. But as a whole, there's not very many opportunities. Especially one of the top world class, the elite of the elite guys. You'd be able to simply for the love of it and have careers that they're trying to support themselves.
Yep. So you mentioned Hungary and that.
Well, the 2008 Olympics, Hungary was the gold medalists, so they're always up there. I think they've actually won the last 3 or 4 Olympic Games in water polo, so they're a pretty dominant country in terms of the top teams. A lot of other European teams are up there. Serbia, I think right now with Olympic Games, I think they're looking to make an impact and opportunity to win the gold. U.S. has made some strides in water polo and won the silver medal in 2008 in the Olympics, and is looking to get back onto the podium this next Olympics. always has a strong team. Italy is the current reigning world champ, so a lot of European teams. Australia actually has a pretty strong team as well.
So what advice would you give to aspiring water polo players?
Aspiring water polo players, I suppose, just you got to put in your time in the pool. Make sure your guys are getting on a swim squad, trying to improve on their swimming. Is always going to help, and then just playing the sport as much as you can. Joining a club, water polo club. There's some locally. There's one out here in the hut that the guys who our school play for, and
Okay, just changing the topic a bit quickly here. So onto the Olympics. We have done a kind of questionnaire with some of the teachers on what country you think will get the most amount of medals, and everyone so far has said the USA will. What do you think of that, given that China did very well last games and I think won in the end?
Does really well. I'm hoping that they win the medal count and being American all. I think they did pretty well in the last Olympic Games. I think China actually came away with I think it was the most golds, but the U.S. did pretty well. And so I'm pulling for them. It's been fun being here and watching the Olympics in New Zealand from a different perspective and seeing more coverage on for me as well. But I'm still, I suppose, pulling for the U.S. in a lot of sports.
So who do you think will get the least amount of medals, and they have to get at least one medal?
Who's going to get the least amount of medals?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of countries haven't just watched the opening ceremony. I think it would be fair to say a lot of people might not even heard of some of the countries that are participating. So I think it would be, I think for a lot of those countries it's that just to participate and be there, for a lot of these developing countries that may not have the same types of funding going towards their national sports and everything, countries that leave with maybe even not even getting a medal, maybe just getting one medal or so. So I think there'll be a long list of those countries where really the end goal is just to be involved and to participate in the Olympic Games and kind of the spirit and everything that brings.
We'll talk about the Kiwis for a moment.
Sure.
How many medals do you think they'll get? Any idea?
I don't know. I suppose I don't know the history behind the Kiwis in the Olympics. I think they've got a good shot in some of the events. I know they're strong rowers. So I think I saw online that they've already broken a world record. I watched a little bit of the swimming, and I know that they had a medal contender this morning. I don't know how she had an opportunity. But I think New Zealand as a whole does really well on the world spectrum in terms of the number of people in the country and that the fact that they're able to compete at such a high level. I think it says to their sports.
So really quickly, house swimming this Thursday. Are we expecting to see an appearance from you in the pool?
I think so. I think we're gonna. I think the teachers are gonna try and pull it out this year. We've been close involved, and I think this is our year. We're gonna try and make the push and pull out some secret weapons and try and win it.
So you've been training hard for the.
I wouldn't say I've been training hard, but I'm gonna go for it.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Sir?
Right on.
Thanks for taking out time out of your lunchtime. And is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I appreciate you guys having me. You guys are doing a good job. Keep it up.
I'd just like to say congratulations for your win on the game as well.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be back to find out who I'm playing against next.
We're very excited to have you as well.
What round does that put? Where am I?
What are we doing?
It's
a bit of a mixed up format.
Mixed up. All right. So I'm just gonna keep going.
I think semis or quarters. You're up there.
All right. Right on.
All right, thanks for coming on the show. I don't know who we have on next week. I think Mr. Hutchins might make an appearance.
And Mr. Rabbit maybe.
And Mr. Rabbit. Page, be listening to the YouTube videos, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.